Every time. I've got to do it every time, haven't I? Folks,
Does that get
good
you in the mood
afternoon.
for it? Is that what it does, Graham?
It does. It gets my energy up. It gets me lifted. It gets me ready to rock and roll. Good afternoon, folks. How are you doing? I hope you're all well. We are back with the Meanings of Life radio show, and I am absolutely overjoyed to be here with my good friend and the legend that is Cody, the legendary Kedworth, Mr. Mind Management Coach himself.
I think I might have misheard you there because I heard leg end. Is that?
Listen, I didn't want to call it leg end, so I put the two together, and we'll call you a legend for today. The legendary mind management coach that is Cody Kedworth.
So this is a bold statement, but before I introduce you, Graham, my goal is to be the UK's #1 mind management coach. That is my goal.
Awesome.
I'm going to be very honest to our listeners. That is my goal, to be the UK's #1 mind management coach. So I've been doing some Googling so I can officially tell you I am actually, at this moment in time, the 3rd best mind management coach in the United Kingdom. Because
awesomeness.
I've Googled mind management coach and there's only 3 in the United Kingdom. So I'm right there.
So you've spoilt it. Everybody was going, Cody, you're amazing. Oh, you're 3rd of 3. Brilliant.
Oh, that's brilliant. I absolutely love that. So hi, welcome to the Meaning of Life radio show with my co-host, the one, the only, the mythical Graham Nichols.
Mythical? Of all the things, mythical.
I just got, I'm going to make him a mythical, majestical Priority Academy CEO, founder, future to be certified coach.
Whatever. Mythical. It makes me sound like Bilbo Baggins.
Mythical. Mythical's kind of magical, is it not?
Well, sort of. Apart from mythical means it's not real, but you know, I'm fairly sure I'm here. So good afternoon, folks. Legendary. I like legendary. Good afternoon, folks. If you are watching and you've not got bored of us just messing about already, then drop us a comment in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Drop us a comment. We can see them. We will have a chat with you by all means via comments. We would love to hear from you if you're watching. So, Cody, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'm going to be very honest. I keep trying to create titles of the radio show that would get people's interest. I think very importantly, people say, oh, you've got to feel your feelings. You've got to feel your feelings. So the title of the show today is Your Feelings Might Not Be as Important as You Like to Think that they are.
Okie dokie. Now that is definitely clickbait. That is definitely clickbait to get pique people's interest. So why that title? Tell me why the title.
Because feelings are not facts, and we can find ourselves emotionally reasoning, Graham, and it's a big part of our life. It's because we feel this way, we think something must be true. So I feel like something's happened to me, or I feel, let's use the term, very common, I feel not good enough. Just because you feel not good enough doesn't mean to say that you are not good enough. Just
Absolutely.
because we feel certain things doesn't mean to say it right. And once we find ourselves emotionally reasoning, we start looking to prove our negative mindset and the negative bias that we have. We go to look to prove that feeling correct so we can stay in that emotional state, that negative emotional state that we sometimes like to wrap around as like that comfort blanket. And it comes from the stories that we are creating, the meanings that we're creating to everything that's happened to us. And it's not true. It's actually not true. And if you broaden your perspective of what's going on and you look at the bigger picture, those feelings that we're feeling in those moments, yes, are valid, but doesn't mean to say they are true. So I'm going to hashtag this right now. Hashtag feelings are not facts.
Nice. I like that. Okay, so you've said a couple of things there, and I just want, for everybody who's watching and listening in, I want to clarify something here. You've said feelings and you said emotions. What's the difference between the two? I think I got in there, folks. Talk about throw it out. I've thrown it up in the air for you. You've just got to bat it out of the park now, Cody. Now, come on.
Now, I know what I want to say about this, Graham, but I think it's more important that you share.
No. You don't get to bat it back at me. I asked the question. Nice try, Sunshine. I will absolutely give you my views, but I want your views first. Come on, tell me what yours is.
I might not be able to answer this. And the thing is, I've just done a video against thoughts versus feelings versus emotions. I've just done a video, and I enjoyed the video that I was creating because I've just done a video on it, and I'm just...
Hey, Jane.
And you know where I got the video from? One of your courses. And I was like, oh my, I didn't even know that. So, yes, I feel like I'm having a bad day. 2, I am depressed because I'm having a bad day. The emotion comes from the feeling. It comes from the thought. Thought precedes the feelings and the emotions, okay? Now, if we change the thoughts and what we're thinking about ourselves, it creates a different feeling. That will then change. Don't forget, the emotion is the byproduct of what we're thinking. It's the symptom. The depression is the symptom of what we're thinking. It's not that we are depressed and that we are in a depressed state. That's the difference between feelings and emotions.
Okay, nice. I like that. Yeah, I kind of get that. So how I'd describe it in a possibly shorter way than you would, I think that feelings are thoughts. And I'll tell you why I think that, because when we're feeling something, like we're feeling not good enough, that's not an emotion. There's not an emotion for not good enough. However, when we're feeling the emotion of happy or feeling the emotion of joy or excited or love or something along those lines, they're emotions. Feelings are thoughts. And the reason I say that is because whenever somebody says to me, I feel this way, I feel angry, I feel depressed, there's a difference between the emotion of depression and the thought of depression or the feeling of depression. So if somebody says, I feel a certain way, I ask them to change the word feel to think.
Yeah.
Because that just makes a completely different, brings a completely different perspective into that conversation. So for me, emotions are not thoughts. They are things that we experience. Feelings are thoughts that we think our way into. There you go. What if you feel something in your gut?
Now,
great question, Jane. How do you feel something in your gut without thinking about it? That would be the answer to my question. To that question, I'll ask it with another question. If you're feeling it in your gut, then you're thinking about that feeling.
Now, I want to challenge that a little bit because I want to challenge your expertise on this one, Graham. And there we go. Francis has already jumped in on this one.
Hey, Francis.
Intuition. What's the difference between intuition? Because I believe intuition comes from the gut and it comes from the heart. And we can have feelings. Doesn't mean to say that they're correct. Doesn't mean to feel. But intuition, I would suggest that if you're feeling something in your gut, that would come from a place of intuition. And you can hone your skills on understanding your intuition by trusting and starting to believe in yourself and what you know. It's a very comfortable feeling for Jane. So I hope that is very helpful for Jane. By the way, we've got Jane and Francis on the questions and answers today. I love this. So what about intuition, Graham? What's your understanding of intuition?
Okay, so you mentioned there about intuition coming from your gut or from your heart. I think intuition comes from different places for different people. So some people may say they get a gut feeling. Some people may say they get their intuition from a higher power. They may say that they get their intuition from their higher consciousness. It's very dependent on where we perceive that intuition is coming from. But intuition isn't an emotion, but it is a thought that comes to us. Whether it comes from, we perceive it coming from our gut, or whether we perceive it coming from our heart or from a higher power or our subconscious or whatever, it is a thought. It still comes through as a thought at some point, and therefore that feeling of intuition is a thought. That would be how I would put it.
Absolutely. Now, I've always been a big believer in whatever you focus on, you will start creating. What we focus on is what we're going to start creating more. And if we have the feelings of not being good enough, we because we have that feeling, and it's happened. I've had those feelings, feeling of not being good enough. Absolutely. And it stops. It comes from a place of comparison an awful lot of the time. comparison is definitely the stealer of joy. But those feelings of not being good enough, I like to, when those feelings pop up for me, I like to really jump on, right, let's explore that feeling. Because once we get those feelings and get those emotions, it can scare us. It can scare us, and it starts bringing up fear and dread within us. And we can stay stuck in that state. And I like to explore those feelings to try and prove them wrong. That's something that I've learned a long time ago, that when I genuinely did find out that feelings are not facts, such as thoughts are not facts. But because we've created that, we think it must be true. And we're not explained this in schools, and we're not explained about all these things from, I don't remember. The only thing I remember from school, Graham, is trigonometry, and I hated it. And I still don't
I can't remember trigonometry at all.
And I still don't use it to this day in any way whatsoever. I genuinely don't.
My question back to you then is, when you're going through those feelings, when you're exploring your feelings,
yeah,
are you exploring a feeling, or are you exploring the thoughts behind the feeling?
I like to explore why I'm thinking like that, because there'll be a reason why. Yeah, I like to explore why I'm thinking like that. Now, I come from a place of monkey mind, and your monkey mind is very sneaky. I'm a big believer in, we are emotionally driven creatures. Our emotions are there to be observed. They're not going anywhere. They're a part of our genetic makeup. They're there for a reason. But if we don't understand our emotions, they can absolutely take control. And they are driven by fear. That the whole premise of the monkey mind is to look for threats to keep you safe. So there's a positive intention there. However, that positive intention doesn't serve us anymore. Once you understand, that's why I coach people understanding why they're thinking the way that they're thinking and where they're looking. And it's an important part of people's lives. And we're not taught it. We're not in any way whatsoever. So I do explore those feelings and try to discount them as much as possible once I've explored them and sat with them. Now, I will be very open and honest. I know when I'm going back into a downward spiral if I've not been sleeping well. If I don't get what I feel is comfortable sleep, I get a little bit more overreactive. My monkey mind's a little bit quicker to respond. It lashes out a little bit more. I don't give people around me the space that they need to have that conversation with me. I can be quite snippet, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Well, I feel this and I feel this and I feel this. But I'm like, but are you feeling that? Well, no, actually, I'm just tired. It's actually a symptom of me being tired. I've not slept well. So believe it or not, Graham, I genuinely know when I'm going to go into an illness, because my body, and I knew I was going into the cold. I know you went on the last show because you had the cold, what I had a couple of weeks before. So I wasn't sleeping at night time, and I'd been overly thirsty. My body hits that wall where it's like, do you know what? Just pull back a little bit. You're not sleeping. And that's the self-awareness. I think self-awareness is such a huge thing that once you start exploring those feelings and not being scared of them, not being scared of those emotions, understanding why they're there and how they can benefit us, because they're actually giving us a sign. They're giving us a sign of, listen to your body, take a little step back. You don't own the world's problems. That's a big one. That's a me problem, not a you problem. Those kind of situations that we've talked about in private, Graham. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And the word you've mentioned quite a few times there is the word fear. And I think there's a really good explanation there for the difference between an emotion and a thought. Because fear can be an emotion, but fear can also be a thought. So if you take fear as an emotion, as in you're walking across the street and all of a sudden a car comes belting around the corner that you hadn't seen before and is about to run you over. Fear takes over, you dive out, well, hopefully dive out the way. That's the emotion of fear that just rushes through your body and makes you react. Fear from a thought perspective, or from a feeling perspective, if you want to put it in that way, fear from that is you overthinking about something that you're going to do, or that you need to do, or that you want to do, but actually you're scared of doing. That's the feeling or the thought side of fear. The emotional side of fear. The emotional side of fear comes from, thousands of years of history that is all packed into our subconscious. Oh, when we had to run away from saber-toothed tigers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
that was fear. That's the emotion of fear. But the thought of fear, or the feeling of fear, is something completely different. Fear as an emotion happens in the moment. When something is going to happen, you're fearful and you need to do something about it. The whole fight, flight, or freeze comes out. Fear from a feeling or thought perspective is in the future. It's thinking about doing something that you don't want to do, or you know you have to do, but you're scared about doing. Well, that is the difference between the emotion of fear and the feeling of fear. How does that come across? Have I explained that well enough? I'm not sure.
I think I might need to do another one of your courses. No, you couldn't have been any better well explained. And while you're talking about
the whole good enough thing you were talking about, the whole good enough thing, that is the feeling or the thought of fear, isn't it? Am I good enough to do that? Am I good enough to start my coaching business? Am I good enough to take the next step up in my career? Am I good enough to go and get another job? Am I good enough to be in a relationship? That whole thing, that is the thought or feeling of fear of not being good enough. It's not an emotion of fear. It's a thought and the feeling of fear. Does that make more sense?
That does make more sense. I think the previous version made sense as well because you explain it so well. But this is how a lot of our fears manifest. Is from those two seeds of thought. We know this. Well, we know this, but to share most people's thoughts. A lot of people ask, well, why am I doing this? Why can't I go for what I want? Any kind of fear, however big that fear is, to little fear, any kind of fear, your subconscious mind and your monkey mind grab onto that and think, right, I'm going to pull you back. That's an automatic thing. Your subconscious is there to pull you back. It's wired to keep you safe. The whole premise of the subconscious mind is when you're sleeping, it's still awake to sense the threat from the saber-toothed tiger. So when you're sleeping, and we love the fact that we always explain this in caveman terms or cave people terms, is the whole premise of your subconscious is to keep you alive. That's the premise of it, the purpose of it. Again, positive intention there. However, the positive intention has so many downsides, bad side effects of it, but it's a positive intention. So once you know that and learn from it, you're like, okay. Because a lot of people are like, well, why do I keep procrastinating? It still comes from a fear, and your subconscious mind picks up on that, even though it's from a thought that's all the way back in. I think one of the best ways to I've explained with your mind is your mind is connected to like a kite. So your mind is all the way back up on the kite, but it's still connected to you. No proof of now, Graham, you're the psychology major on this one. Proof of mind. You can't touch it. Look at that. You can't touch it. Can't go and say that's where the mind is. That's where the mind is. Technically, no proof of the mind, but we know the power of the mind. We know the power of the mind. I'm reading a phenomenal book called The Beliefs. What is it? By Bruce Lipton. The Biology of Belief. Belief and how we can create. Your mind has no judgment. I think that's still a phenomenal thing. Your mind has no judgment over a real thought, something that's actually happening to you or not happening to you. And that still amazes me to this day. Still amazes me to this day.
Yeah, I would love to answer the question, but I don't think anybody has ever been able to answer that question. That, well, where is the mind? What is the mind? We know what the brain is. We know how the brain works from electrical pulses and all of that sort of stuff. But do we actually know what the mind is? Do we actually know what the unconscious mind is? We know what we can call it. We can call it the unconscious or the subconscious. But do we actually know what it is? No, I don't think anybody can actually explain that. It's a bit like explaining the person that explains it best is, for me, is Dr. Wayne Dyer, who says, if you hold an acorn up and look up an acorn tree and you say, how the hell did that come from that? Well, that's our mind. There's no way to explain how that acorn, when you put it in the ground, could turn into a blooming great tree. Is that tree stored inside that acorn? Well, no, because if you split it open, you can't see a tree inside it. So how the hell did that happen? Well, our mind is exactly the same. How did a thought go into our mind? How did it suddenly appear out of nowhere? But it does. We have the ability to choose whether we want to engage with that thought or not. Yeah. I might sit here now and think, do you know what, I need a drink. I've got a drink over there. I need a drink. But I don't have to go and grab my drink. I can just say, yeah, it's over there. That's fine. That's a thought that just pops into my head. There's questions pop into my head that I could ask you as we're going through this, but I don't have to ask you every single one, because if I did, we'd be here for hours, because I could just keep asking you questions, and I'm sure you could me. And that's the part of this. We can't explain our mind, but what we can do is work on the thoughts that come across our mind and which ones we want to grab hold of and which ones we don't. And that is where our feelings come from, not our emotions. I'm putting emotions to one side for now, talking about feelings. Those feelings start as thoughts, and we need to choose whether we want to engage with them or not. Even if they're fearful ones, even if they're fearful and says, you can't do that, you're not good enough. What happens if it all goes wrong? I help coaches, so the amount of people that come to me and say, Graham, I want to be a coach, but what if I can't help somebody? Well, that's a fear showing up. That's a fear of not being good enough showing up and stopping somebody from taking the action. But it's a thought pattern. That's all it is. It's a pattern of thought that they've got into, and they probably say the same thing time and time again about most of the rest of their lives, because we all run on patterns. It doesn't matter which part of our lives it is, we'll run a very similar pattern all the way through. And that pattern just needs to be broken down. If we can learn to break those patterns down, to identify them first, which you as a mind management coach are an expert at. You listen to what people have got to say, you notice the patterns and go, right, that's a pattern. Can we just crumple that up and throw it over there somewhere? Let's put a new pattern in. And that's what mind management is about. It's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
People don't understand, and you're right, we're not taught it in school. We're not taught it as we're growing up. We're not taught it unless we actually go and seek the information. We're not taught how to manage our mind, manage our thought processes, and therefore manage our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not taught that sort of stuff. We need to go to somebody like you who's a mind management coach, or to take your course, or to take one of my courses, to start figuring this out. And then we can maybe go, well, actually, if I am fearful of that, why? And do exactly what you said, which is then investigate where that thought pattern comes from. Not go, oh, I'm fearful, that must be an emotion, therefore, it's trying to tell me something, so I shouldn't do this, I should just walk away. No, that's not what we need to do. Okay, I'm feeling this, therefore I'm thinking this, therefore why am I thinking this? What can I change about it so I can go on and actually live the life I want? Because let's be honest, we could all live the life we truly wanted if we could just get past those gosh darn it feelings.
Gosh,
I'm getting good at this not swearing stuff.
Feelings. Yeah. Do you know, I've really been getting into linguistics and labeling quite a lot recently. And I know it's good that once you've done the training and stuff like that, but I don't think we as human beings realize actually what we're saying and what we're thinking is causing the eventuality of what we're feeling. I know that's the premise of the show. But something really bad happened to me 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think I mentioned this. I had, and I'm going to share this story to help people. It's an important story to help people, because if I hadn't have got what I've been doing for years since my nervous breakdown, I think it's probably about 10 years ago now, and things like that. If I hadn't learned, I would have gone back down to a massive spiral. Been a massive spiral. I think there's this, and I still believe there's this believable thing from people is think, oh, well, they don't have any problems. No, everybody has problems. Doesn't matter. Everybody has problems.
Absolutely.
Life still happens to me as much as it does the next person. We're not immune to it. It's how do we cope with it? So I got scammed online with the sale of a watch. I mentioned it, absolutely gutted. I had a bad weekend over it. I'm not even going to lie. It was a horrible weekend, but after the weekend, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done with that. Totally understand. So it was the labeling that popped up. And sometimes I forget that I've got this new system, this new computer that I use, that, yes, I still have bad stuff that goes on, and I just get out of it quicker. Still have bad things going on. And it's the linguistics that I use. And I caught myself doing it. This is what I actually caught myself doing it, because I went straight for, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm an arse. Oh, I'm these things. And they set off the feelings of not being good enough. Why was I so stupid? These genuine questions that pop up, which I used to repeat on that pattern. It was just constant, which is no wonder is a boom, massive downward spiral. However, I caught myself. I'm like, actually, no. Remember, so we're giving away as much information as possible. Remember, if I assign the word I'm stupid, what's the feelings and the emotions that's going to be associated with that? Downward spiral. And I downward spiral, you're stupid, I'm like, no, So I give a new word to it. I'm trustworthy. I'm trustworthy enough that I thought I was doing the right thing. Completely. Just still hurt, but yeah, remember, not stupid, trustworthy. And I still stand by that. I still stand by that. We know the word integrity means a lot to me, Graham. We know this.
We do.
Very much. And I had a great team of friends that actually reminded me as well when I was going to a bit of a downward spiral. And I had to share it with the people I was friends with and stuff like that. And I had one person say, "How can you change it into a positive?" That one question, how can you turn it into a positive? And I did. That one question from a lovely lady called Jane. She asked me that one question when I was right there in the midst of it. And I'm like, yep, absolutely. That's the question I needed to be asked. And it comes to the questions that we ask ourselves. And linguistically, I don't think people understand how much they're actually creating. And I know from one of the things, one of the clients I was working with, and I did say, we're causing our own stress. And that one's the biggest kicker sometimes. That's the biggest kicker. I know people don't like hearing that because, like, oh, no, it's not. I mean, and look what's going on with the world right now. If it's not been bad enough with COVID, 2 years, then obviously all the political stuff that's gone off in the UK as well. So it's just the news is focused on all the drama. Now something's going off in Russia and Ukraine. Absolutely. I mean, if you were to look at it, you could say that the world is absolutely messed up. Constant barrage of being fed fear. Being fed fear. Right? True or false?
No, absolutely true. The other part of that, the other flip side to it, though, is you might have to search a bit harder, but you can find the great stories as well. You can find the positive, uplifting, humanitarian stories and all of that sort of stuff as well. But we are fed that fear. It's interesting that you talked about language there and being scammed online. It's a few years ago now, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Paula and I got scammed online, and we lost a couple of grand online. And my first thing was to go, you bleeping idiot, and also to kind of focus on the person who'd scammed me. We're going, well, they're a bleep and they're a bleep and they've done this. And then my brain went, hang on a second. And your language pattern was, I'm trustworthy. My language pattern was, I'm responsible.
Yeah.
It was me that didn't do the research. It was me that didn't go further into it. It was me that paid out that money when I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I'm responsible. And therefore, it sits on my shoulders.
That's a word right there. If I had a microphone, I would drop that.
But that's how I got through it without going down that downward spiral. Because if I'd have blamed that other person and gone at them, I would have felt really crappy about them and really, attacked them. But then I'd have felt so terrible inside of myself because, it would be against my values. It would be against who I am. But I'd feel so rubbish about myself. As you said, call yourself stupid, not there. The moment I said, actually, I'm responsible, I know that responsibility is one of my values. And therefore I'm living to my value. And then all of a sudden that spiral isn't there.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to accept the fact of losing that money, but I'm responsible for it. That's what it is. We're getting some comments coming through. We best go on to that. Carrie, hi, Carrie. We tuck those thoughts behind the door and they just wait for a chance to jump back out. Once we work on them, we recognize them faster and can push them back behind that door. If we don't manage them, it will stay out and show its presence more. Absolutely, Carrie. I think the more we push our feelings or our emotions down, they kind of build up inside us and eventually they batter their way back through. If we don't push them down and we express them, if we accept them, if we thank them and we're grateful for them, then they are able to just kind of float off into the ether. Right, but the more we push them down, the more it just flows absolutely through.
You are 100% right. Let's use the word gratitude. Now, this is in my throat, Graham. This one sticks in my throat because people don't know how to use the word gratitude. They only use it when they've received something. They do not use it when you're absolutely at the bottom.
Absolutely.
The one thing, because of what we do and how we've had to do these things and stuff like that. And it is a practice of training yourself and your mind and your understanding of to be able to do these things. Absolutely, 100%. I was like, how can I turn this into a positive? That's the only way. I am grateful for this experience. I never personalized it. It wasn't a me thing. It was not a me thing in any way whatsoever. It was just, I was the one that they snapped. Using a fishing term, I was just the one that took the bait. That's it. Wasn't personal. It wasn't about me. At first I was like, "What? No, it's not about me. Not about me in any way whatsoever." And I was like, "Right, how can I turn this into?" So it gave me a reason to go out and absolutely step my game up in the coaching world and to be able to share that story, because shit things still happen. It doesn't matter who you are. It does not matter who you are. Bad stuff still happens. Nobody is immune to bad stuff, but that's the power of a positive mindset. And I will say it again, a positive mindset is not waking up smelling rainbows and listening for unicorn farts and thinking it's all perfect in any way whatsoever. It's not. It's the opposite. A positive mindset is knowing that when it's a shit day, you have the tools to get past it. You have to get past it. And you have to feel those emotions, explore them, observe them. Look, it's a big thing, especially when it comes to the monkey mind. I think that's something that I took away from The Untethered Soul, which is a beautiful book. Beautiful book. Untethered Soul is
truly is.
Oh, so many people have told me about what you're talking about is The Untethered Soul. Monkey Mind was The Untethered Soul, and I didn't know. I'd never read the book. And The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer, I think it's Michael Singer. Oh wow, what a beautiful book! And highly recommend that. Absolutely, become the observer. You are taking, and I like that. That's actually responsibility, Graham. That's a powerful. I'm responsible. And I've done the story of Who Stole My Sausage. We're held accountable. The story of Who Stole My Sausage. People will still steal your sausage. The responsibility of your emotions and your feelings are yours and yours alone. If we give the responsibility of those away to other people, you are literally going to be living a miserable life. I get that. Once you take those back and say, do you know what? Those feelings are mine. Those emotions are mine. And I can be in charge of that. Game changer. Game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah, once you take that responsibility, and it's kind of the magic sauce. If you take a bit of responsibility and you mix in a bit of gratitude, you've got the magic sauce to get through pretty much anything in your life. No matter how good, how bad, how absolutely shocking things may get, you've got the opportunity.
I like how long you went with a word with a shocking.
Shocking. You've got the magic sauce to get through anything in your life. You know, for most people don't know my wife, but I talk about her story quite a bit in some of my courses and that. 30 odd years ago now, she had a car accident and she broke her neck and she damaged virtually every vertebrae in her spine. It had nothing to do with her at all. She was literally driving along a road and somebody came and cut across her, slammed into her. Nothing she could do about it. She just wasn't expecting it, didn't see it coming. Bang, that's what happened. She since then takes nearly 30 painkillers, not anti-inflammatories anymore. We'll come to that in a minute. Nerve agents and all that sort of stuff every day. She could have, and she's still in pain every day. She could have, after that, just given up and said, look, I'm going to sit in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. You know, I'll get carers to look after me, etc., etc. She could have done that, but she didn't. What she chose to do was keep running her business. She kept walking, even though she couldn't walk as far, she couldn't stand for as long, but she did it for as much as she possibly could. The doctors told her that there was no way she was going to walk again. She'd be in a wheelchair. She said, up yours, I'm going to walk again, and did. She could have just given up and sat in a wheelchair, but she carried on and carried on and carried on. Now, just over a year ago now, so November 2020, the doctors decided that they would take away her major anti-inflammatory, because when you've been on it for too long, it has heart problems, but they've never replaced it with anything. So all the inflammation from all those injuries have just gone whoosh. And she now even struggles to get out of the house. She can walk to the end of the garden and back, and that's about it. However, she still runs her business, albeit from home. and how our daughter goes and manages it out on site, and Paula does it from home. She could be the most miserable, fed up, peed off person in the world because she doesn't get to do anything. She goes to bed at night in pain. She wakes up in the morning in pain. She spends her day in pain. No matter what the painkillers are, they don't kill her pain. She has mornings where she wakes up and her whole head flares up. All the nerve endings flare up and she has a massive migraine. And yet still, she maintains that positive attitude. She will still, yes, there are days where it gets to her, but 95, 96, 97% of the time, she keeps going. She keeps working at it in some way, shape, or form. That is nothing but a choice. Nothing more than her thought patterns choosing how to live her life. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I have massive admiration. When Paul and I, we're coming up on 10 years anniversary in June. So she had these injuries when I met her. And I was amazed by the strength and the independence of this woman who had these injuries that, quite honestly, I think if I had them, I would have given up because they are so devastating. And yet she still keeps going every single day. And I say this to her, and I'll say this to anybody. I'm doing what I do right now because of her. If I didn't have her behind me, giving me a nudge, giving me, some positive words, kicking my backside when I need it, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And all of that through all of the injuries and the pain she lives with. And that, to keep going through all of that, is nothing more. I say nothing more like it's the lightest thing in the world, but it's her thought pattern. It's her positive attitude. Now, I'm not into positive thinking. There's a difference between positive mindset and positive thinking.
There is.
Positive thinking. Positive thinking is about going out into your garden and looking at your grass and go, there'll be no weeds, there'll be no weeds, there'll be no weeds. Well, there's going to be weeds. That's life. That's positive thinking. A positive mindset is going out into your garden, seeing the weeds and going, okay, I can sort them. Or the negative mindset is going out to garden, seeing weeds and going, oh, there's weeds, I might as well give up. That's the difference between positive thinking and a positive mindset.
I love that.
Paula has a positive mindset. If she just got up every day and thought, there'll be no pain, there'll be no pain, there'll be no pain, guess what? There'll still be pain. But if she gets up in the morning, and when she gets up in the morning and thinks, okay, I've got pain, but I've still got stuff to do, and I can still contribute to my business, and I can still contribute to the world, then I can carry on. Well, that's a positive mindset.
Oh, you see, that's...
So every time you are feeling a certain way, whether it's fear, or whether it's feeling not good enough, or feeling unworthy or undeserving, or whatever it may be, well, that is nothing more than a thought pattern. And that thought pattern can be overcome by responsibility, taking responsibility for it and saying, that's how I'm feeling, and gratitude by saying, thank you very much for letting me know I want to feel that way, but I don't want to feel that way. I'm going to move on and do something else. That is the difference right there in that moment.
Yes.
Frances disagrees. She believes in positive thinking. Fantastic. I appreciate.
Yeah, go. No, that's all right, Graham. I wanted you to have the pedestal. I wanted you to stand on that podium, mate. I love the story. Carry on.
Yeah, Francis, if you want to believe in positive thinking, I am certainly not going to try and dissuade you from that, because we all have our own perspectives and our own ways of looking at it. And positive thinking can get us through an awful lot. For me, like I explained, positive thinking is going into a garden and saying there are no weeds, there are no weeds. Weeds are going to be there. No, it doesn't matter how much you think about it. It's the difference between a positive thinking and a positive mindset. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with positive thinking, because positive thinking can absolutely get you through a lot. The positive mindset of saying, okay, that's going to be there, I'm going to think this way and do something about it, that's a different perspective for me. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Francis. Your perspective is absolutely valid. That's just my thoughts on it.
So I don't know, but I've got a feeling Francis might be coming from a place, I don't know, but I'm coming from a place of my knowledge and my understanding is you can't have a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time. So when you're thinking negative,
okay,
you can flip that. You can flip the mental gateways, the attitude for gratitude. There is mental gateways that we have that's been proven in neuroscience that you can absolutely change the way that you think. So yes, you can think positively. I think positive thinking is a thing, absolutely, no doubt in my mind. But I think what you're saying is completely valid and right as well, Graham. Absolutely. Positive thinking, there is no weeds, there is no weeds, there is no weeds. And then you see some weeds in the grass. Yes, I get that. Totally agree. Same page. Am I sitting on a fence here? Because I'm like, well, no, I kind of as well. Because it causes
it's not about sitting on a fence. It's about realizing that everybody has their own perspective, and we can be accepting of that own perspective. Francis has her perspective. Yeah. I have my perspective, and we can both be accepting of those perspectives. For me, positive thinking is put in a place of, if I think that way, everything will be all right. And the truth about life is not everything will be all right. Things happen every day, you know.
Yep.
Paula could have driven along that road thinking, I'm not going to have an accident, or everything's all right, I'm going to drive fine, and then somebody clashes into her. And she then has a choice. The mindset comes from after the fact, I suppose. If you can positively think before the fact, but then when something happens, like a weed grows, it's then your mindset afterwards is what leads you to be positive or negative. Maybe that's a different perspective, a different way of looking at it. What do you think to that?
I'm not going to disagree. What do you know what I like? And we should comment on Jules before we go into this. Jules Silverman, listening, loving what you're both saying. Also true. Thank you, Jules. Totally believe it is what we believe in ourselves that allow us to do or not to do anything in life. It is also past experiences and traumas that cause our subconscious to react 100%. And allow us to feel confident to do X, Y, and Z. Positive mindset is definitely what everyone should concentrate on. Jules Silverman, ticking every box.
Spot on, Jules. Love it.
Well done.
Absolutely, Jules.
Welcome to the show, Jules. We hope you become a regular listener. I always want to say hi to Veronica. I never know if Veronica's in or not in, but I do.
I was going to say I hadn't seen a comment. Hi, Veronica, if you're in. Hello. I think what Jules has said right there is really important, and it's kind of the missing piece that we haven't got to yet, and that's about what we believe. Our belief systems absolutely create our lives, because if we believe we're not good enough, then we will look for every single opportunity in life to prove that we're not good enough. Our belief will hone in on that and focus on that. Like you said earlier in the show, that focus, when you focus on stuff, that's where your energy goes. It's an old saying, isn't it? Where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
But where our belief is like an energy, is like a focus point. Our belief will take us to focus on one particular thing that absolutely fulfills our belief. So all our energy goes there, and therefore it just reinstalls that belief. It builds the pattern. I always call it like building a brick wall. Mm-hmm. If you've got a belief, you've got a stack of bricks just on top of each other. And every time our belief comes up and sees something else that it agrees with, then it just puts another brick on top. And that's what our beliefs do. And our beliefs create that feeling, that thought, and it just focuses. It's like a set of blinkers. We don't see anything that's out here anywhere. We don't see anything where we are good enough, are smart enough, are worthy, are deserving, all of that sort of stuff. We are just blinkered by our belief that all that over there says I'm not good enough, and therefore that's what I'm looking at.
Yep.
And that's what a belief does. It really puts a set of blinkers on us. And the moment we can start to turn those blinkers out and see other perspectives, then we can start to break that belief down. But that's a really, really hard thing to do. But Jules, you're absolutely spot on. It is what we believe that creates those thoughts and those feelings of not good enough, of fear, and all of that sort of stuff. Carrie's just said, believe that we can overcome the shocking stuff that comes up, since there will always be shocking stuff. There will always be shocking stuff. You're absolutely right. It just can't help it. That is part of life. Yeah. I hold my hands up to thinking earlier in life, why can't life just be easy? Why can't we just go through life and have no problems? I used to think that when I was younger, when I was in my teens and early 20s, I used to think that. And it just didn't get me anywhere apart from more and more down, depressed, upset, angry, frustrated, and paid off, until you realize that life is going to be about problems. It's just your quality of problems that if you improve your life, you increase the quality of your problems. If you get stuck in one problem, life will keep giving you that until you learn the lesson that it wants you to learn. How many people have the same problem come around time and time and time again? It's like life knocking on the door and going, hello, you need to learn this blooming lesson. I'm throwing it at you again. But of course, people just kind of, fluff about it, move it out of the way. And then the next week it comes around again. Well, of course it does, because you didn't learn the lesson life needs you to learn. When you learn the lesson, that problem will go away. But guess what? Life's got another one for you, so you can learn the lesson. That's how life works.
Do you know what? You're not. I love it. You're absolutely right. That there's lessons, and what the lesson. That's the meaning. That is the whole premise of the show.
The meanings of life.
We control the meanings. We control the meaning of what is happening to us. 100%. That's people don't realize it. That's the choice by the language we use, the labeling that we use, and that was the reason we called this show "The Meanings of Life." Remember when we first started? Absolutely. And monkey mind relaxation is about acknowledging it, don't interact with it, let it go, reset, and start again. That's always been the premise of monkey mind. And for anybody that wants to come to the live meditation every weekend, you are more than welcome to. We do a phenomenal meta meditation at Monkey Mind Relaxation in the Facebook group. Get into the Facebook group, come and join us. It's a phenomenal thing, connecting to your higher self and just allowing it. But I always say, and the talk that I used to do for the Monkey Mind Relaxation, which you can see on YouTube, actually, if you go to YouTube, Cody Kedworth Monkey Mind Relaxation, the lectures that I used to do on Monkey Mind are there, free. Get on there, take away whatever you need. And it was the conversations that we used to have is the meanings of what we create, and that's responsibility. It's a phenomenal thing to do, but you do have to acknowledge it. Most people are trying so hard to not acknowledge it, and by suppressing it, you're right, pushing it down. Let's just pushing it to the side, and that's if a meaning you can give to depression and anxiety. They're alarm signals. They're alarm signals for something's not right in your life. Once you deal with them, the depression and the anxiety goes away. Everybody's so, because, and I know I'm sure I got that. I know I 100% get that from you, and I repeat it all the time. Is we will do absolutely anything to avoid pain. So suppressing them, putting them down. That's the thing with feelings. We do push them down. Oh no, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this because we know there's going to be pain. We know there's going to be pain, but it's the pain that you have to go through to make it disappear. So life's not easy, and life is shockingly bad. That's going to be a new thing for the show, I can tell you. But that's to get through life, we have to become stronger. It's okay to fail. It's okay to get your watch stolen. We makes us stronger. We have this meaning we get is I must be weak. I'm not good enough, and I feel like it's going to be a shocking day. I get it. We all get it. 100%, Graham. I know you get it. I know I understand it. It's about acknowledge. You've got to acknowledge that chatter. You have to acknowledge the chatter. It's not real. We don't want to interact with it, but acknowledging it. The biggest thing that most people don't want to do is acknowledge it. And I think I saw a documentary somewhere that most people said, would you rather spend 15 minutes alone on your own with your thoughts, or would you like to spend 15 minutes doing something else? And everybody said they would avoid spending 15 minutes alone with their thoughts. That's how damaging your monkey mind can be. If you do overthinking, I'm telling you now, we've got 12 minutes left. I didn't want to rattle too much. Overthinking will absolutely destroy you. And that's the top thing that I do when I'm working with clients, and people keep allowing overthinking to carry on because they think it's normal. No. Overthinking will absolutely destroy you. And I've told you this, Graham. I know when we've had sessions and stuff like this, I could not sit and have a conversation with my wife at the dinner table because I was locked in here. And those conversations I were having, I thought I'd had conversations with my wife. She'd be like, nope, you never mentioned that to me. And that's when I started thinking, am I going insane? I've had this conversation. No, it was my monkey mind. It was those thoughts. They are so loud. Loud. Hey, Clark. How you doing? We've got Clark.
Hey, Clark. Have a good day as well. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good day.
Listen, I wanted to jump in with a couple of things you said there. You were talking about things like anxiety and depression, and they're kind of the symptoms. You're currently in the midst of a Master Coach Diploma course with me. And
yes.
One of the things we've been covering for the last 3 modules is about beliefs. And the very first thing of helping somebody pass their beliefs is to find the root cause, the root belief. because the depression, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, the whatever you want to call it, all of those feelings are rooted in something. Now, the root is at the bottom. It's like a big old tree that's starting to rot away because it's being rotted away from the very roots. Is the root cause? There's a question for you. I'm waiting for a long, extended spiel from you here, Cody. So, prepare yourself. Is the root belief to all of those, because they're just the symptoms. They're the symptoms. They're like the rotting leaves. You see a rotting leaf on a tree, and you think, okay, there's something wrong there, but it's not that leaf that's rotting. It's the root that's rotting. That's why we need to look for the root cause, not just the symptoms. Is the root cause of all of those symptoms nothing more than the thought process?
Oh, now,
there you go. I'll pass that over to you. I'm going to sit back and enjoy, folks.
No, it's before, right? I want to answer this question, but Francis is putting some stuff in, so I want us to acknowledge Francis. I think positive thinking. So remind me of that question. I think positive thinking and a positive attitude is so important. They go hand in hand. We sit and think good thoughts, gratitude, and whatever else. Our attitude is the action to bring our thinking into fruition. I wouldn't disregard anything with positive in the title. Yeah.
Woo. Can I just jump in there? I didn't disregard at all positive thinking. All I said was that's my perspective. So I'm not disagreeing with you, Francis. I promise I'm not.
Let your monkey mind just sit back. Calm your monkey mind, Graham. You might sit and think there is no weeds in the garden, then go out and find there is actually no weeds in the garden because someone else pulled them out. That is the power of positive thinking. Graham, would you like? I think that's great. I'm sorry. I think it's great, but I know where you're going to come from, Graham. But go, Graham, go.
Listen, I'm not going to disagree with Francis. Everybody's perspective is valid. I'm not going to sit here and disagree with her at all. The same with anybody who puts a comment up there. The same with the thoughts that you have and expressed. I'm not going to disagree because that would be me saying I'm right all of the time, and I certainly am not. All I'll say is that's my perspective and that's your perspective, and you're absolutely welcome to that. And I'll learn from that, and I'll try and understand and look at your perspective from that way. I love the way you put them about, somebody else will pull them out. That's the power of positive thinking. I wish that I could, get my daughter to clean her room by thinking about her. Yeah, I wish she could clean her room. To me, that's not going to work. I can't even get her to clean her room by asking her to do it, let alone thinking about getting to do it. So that would be my answer, but I don't disregard what you say at all, Francis. So please don't think I do. You absolutely have your perspective, and I have mine, and together we might just create something wonderful. Who knows?
Oh, I love it. So, Graham, what was your question?
I should have been a politician, right?
No, because look, the whole premise of the radio show is get your point of view across. We'll talk about it. It will inspire something in us. It will create growth within us as well. Perspective, I think, is powerful. I think it's what decreases judgment in life. I love perspective. I love point of view. It decreases judgment. And the more we can get rid of judgment out of other people's lives and our lives, I think you might start seeing massive changes in your life. I can be quite judgmental sometimes, and I kick myself for it every time, Graham. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. Judgment is something I'm always, and I'll even speak to friends, and am I judging? And they're like, no. Okay, fair enough, because it's the judgment things always plays up. What was your question for me, Graham, when you said?
Okay, so the question was, so we're looking at things as in like all the feelings that we've been talking about.
Yep.
Are symptoms. Is the root cause the thought pattern? So we're always looking for a root cause of something, because if we deal with the root cause, then all the symptoms go away. So if we see rotting leaves on a tree, we can look at the roots, we can cure the roots, and therefore the leaves will come back and be healthy. So we'll take all those leaves, if you like, and call them symptoms of things like anxiety, depression, stress, and that. If we solve the root cause, then we can make all of those better. Is the root cause to all of those symptoms the thought patterns?
Oof. Now, this might be beyond my... But I'm going to go my level of understanding. But I'm going to say memory plays a massive part in that. I think memory and trauma is stored all the way in the unconscious mind. It's even pushed further down. It's there as a memory. Remember, your brain needs to remember pain. So it keeps you alive. So it's like, oh, I'm going to save that. That's trauma. That's caused me upset. Boom. I'm just going to save that down. So memory plays a big part of it. So your brain has a negative bias. It's not wired to remember the time you enjoyed ice cream. I've talked about this all the time. Not wired to remember the taste of good ice cream. Wired to remember pain. But you have to be thinking about, we're in charge of the thought. We are in charge of the thought. So if you're thinking of the pain in the past, there's a reason it's going there, because it has to remember that. But we keep replaying movies we don't like. We keep replaying movies we don't like, which is why the elastic band works. Something so simple as the elastic band is your remote control for what you want to. Pain and negativity has a more powerful pull than positivity. It does. Pain, boom, drags you down to, that's where your focus is going to go. So if something's happened to you, absolutely terrible, and there's some horrible things that's happened to people, it is a memory. Now, it's a memory, and that's harsh. And I know that because I know there's such atrocities in the world, and I do not sit in a place of I've had atrocities as some of the people that I understand. But once you've dealt with it, got through it, we can use that and we can create that bad experience to be your powerful experience. That's my story. This happened, and I will not be a victim. I will not be a victim to the atrocities that I've had, because I'm in charge of that, and that's what's going to make me the most powerful human being in the world in my life. My life. I'm in charge of that. So I'm going to choose to use that horrible experience to make that my story, so that I can absolutely inspire others in the world. And I will not be a victim. And that's choice and responsibility. You have to deal with it first. Unbelievable, some massive atrocities, genuinely. But I think that's from a memory which is creating, and that's where your focus goes. If you keep going to that memory, you're going to watch, whatever TV program you do not want to watch, you keep watching it. You've got to flip the channel.
Yeah. Okay, look, we've got 3 minutes left, and I want to make sure we've covered all the comments. So Carrie is absolutely agreeing with you. She's saying memory and the story we tell ourselves about the memory. Absolutely. That's exactly what Cody was saying there. Francis, I'm not surprised. Positive thinking wouldn't work to get your daughter to clean her room. Absolutely. You just need to get someone to do something, or something would never work. But you said about getting somebody to pull the weeds out. That's the reason I use that metaphor. We are interfering with someone else's free will. Again, you said about pulling the weeds out. That's why I use that metaphor. And we can visualize the room clean, then be surprised when you get a surge of energy and clean it. Are you cleaning my daughter's room? Seriously, I'd have to wear gloves and all sorts. I really would. Or your daughter might decide on her own to clean it. You clearly haven't met my daughter. Love how diplomatic you are. I do my best. And then Jules, I'm about to start a course in belief coding, which deals with past traumas that cause our subconscious to make us feel things. I am very excited to start it. It sounds so interesting. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for all your comments today. Right, Cody, we've got 2 minutes left. Please tell everybody about you, the Mind Management Coach, and Monkey Mind Relaxation. Let us know what it's all about.
I'm a big believer in changing your thoughts, changing your life. And we do that by acknowledging the stories and changing our thought patterns. I use that with cognitive behavioral therapy. A massive fan of neuro-linguistic programming, and NLP pretty much saved my life. I know full well it did. For what I was going through. And that's why I became a mind management coach, is to help others to help themselves. That's literally it. I help people to help themselves. We're not taught these things in school, and we have different things for different people. You can join the Facebook group, Monkey Mind Relaxation, or you can do the live coaching, or you can work with me one-on-one. Your choice. Get into the Facebook group and come and join us for live meditation. You never know, might make a difference.
Absolutely. And you can see on Cody's screen there his website address. You pop over to that website address, and all the links are on there. I'm certain about that. monkeymindrelaxation.com.
What about you, Graham?
Find Cody. So I am the owner of the Priority Academy, where we teach life coaching, NLP, meditation, mindfulness, EFT, and a whole bunch of other stuff, amazing stuff that you can come and learn. All of that to either help yourself or to go out and help others, or maybe even a bit of both, whichever you choose. And I think that's bringing. The website is thepriorityacademy.com. Go over there, you'll find out all the information. We've got 20 seconds left. Cody, it's been amazing today. Can't believe how quickly time has flown. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give it up for Cody the legend Kedworth.
I'd give it up for the majestical, mythical Graham Nichols!